Well, we are back once again here at Spring Mountain for race number 2 of our weekend here to start off the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West by Yokohama Series. I'm Joe Peak, joined once again by Ashley Freiberg. We were treated to quite the first race of the season with a mixed-up grid. And now we go back at it again. The drivers have learned a few things. Do you think we'll see a bit of the same, or are things going to change up because of everybody having new notes?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be pretty similar because we have a few, fast guys kind of mixing it up towards the middle there. So I think it'll be similar. However, of course, we saw this morning, I'm sure people were learning the track a bit more, and it is a lot warmer out too. And there's been some rubber laid down. So I think the track will be a lot faster right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, if you missed what happened earlier on this weekend, we had quite a bit of rain, so unfortunately things got bumped to today. We took that opportunity to take a lap or two around the track and introduce you to the Charleston Peak course. So let's take a look at that. All right, we're on board here with Ashley Freiberg, and we've got Richie Hearn, who is an instructor here at Spring Mountain. Guys, we're going to do a lap in the car, so let's talk about what it's like trying to navigate this Charleston's Peak course. Richie, I'm sure you've got tons of experience out here.
I got a few laps on the track, yes, for sure. It's quite challenging, as some people have found out. And with this weather, it's even more challenging. But it's got a lot of undulation, and it's quite fun. It just takes a little bit to learn. It took the members quite a few days to learn this track, but once you learn it, it's got a great flow to it.
Certainly looks like it. Ashley, we're coming out to turn 2 from the pit exit here. It seems like the start of the lap has a lot of fast corners.
Yeah, quite a few corners on this track are pretty high speed. There's really only maybe turn 5 or possibly going into turn 10 where it's a pretty decent brake zone to make passes. Everywhere else is pretty fast and flowy. Got this section here, turn 2 into turn 3, a lot of interconnected corners too, which makes it pretty exciting. It's actually pretty interesting. We have quite the deep river right here at the apex of turn 3. So as it's raining too, it's always changing the track conditions. So as you're driving around from a driver's perspective, you're always really paying attention to how the track is changing as you're going. So you have to stay adaptable too. You don't want to just drive the same line every single lap, especially as it starts to rain harder too.
And Richie, this double apexer of turn 4 seems like it's going to be really important with it coming down to turn 5 and it being so hard to pass.
This is probably the one main passing zone coming up to, and the fact that corner is off camera makes it even harder, but you can see the track opens up, so it does give quite a possibility of 2 or maybe 3 wide, or even maybe crossing over on the person passing you on the inside as you exit going into 6 and 7 up there.
This would explain why so many people were going off here, that river coming across at the exit. So we were seeing in qualifying, a lot of people were struggling with the exit of turn 5 there.
Richie, who came up with this section? Because this is bonkers through here.
Yeah, they wanted to make something a little bit like the corkscrew, and definitely unique for sure. This whole section is a little tricky. This corner right here, 14, to me is one of the hardest corners because it's such a late apex and you can't see it. And the tendency is to unwind off the corner too early, and then you're going to just cut right through the track. But it really kind of flows into this next section. And so I think it's a real important part, that whole section, and actually the timed lap, because you spend a lot of time going through there.
And this is actually pit in right here, but the track continues forward here. You can see the brake markers to our left.
I feel like this looks really tough because they've got this little kink and then it sharpens up into that chicane.
Yeah, 16 is quite high speed, and then you really want to get big braking done here into 17. So you have 2 pretty tight corners that lead onto the front straightaway. So always want to make sure you're getting a good exit coming out of the last corner coming onto a long straight. Another thing to think about when it's raining this hard for a lot of drivers, you'll start to kind of wander to the middle of the road. The reason for that is the road has a crown in it. So the water generally runs to the outsides. So you want to be at the highest point of the track to kind of stay away from the puddles. See, we have a nice river coming across turn one.
Oh,
There's a lot of rivers out here today.
And it's right down on the curb too, it looks like.
Turn one is pretty high speed.
Yeah, you were saying in a Formula car you were staying flat through there.
Pretty much, yeah.
And there's still some work to do as far as infrastructure, and they're still working on it. But they have more land out in the distance that they're going to add more track. I don't know if it'll ever be connected to this, but there's more plans to make it even bigger. But I'd love to see some more races come out here. It's just a matter of having the track open, the track's busy. Like I said, 7 days a week.
And that's a lap or two around Spring Mountain. Guys, thank you so much for showing us around, and hopefully we'll get to see some good racing a little later. So it looks like we are going to get ready to go racing here shortly, thankfully on a much drier track, and honestly with absolutely gorgeous views today, as you can see here in the background at Spring Mountain Motorsports Ranch. It's located in Pahrump, Nevada, just a few moments away really from the California border, but amongst just incredible scenery and wildlife out here in the desert. But this is a newly built circuit. It only came about a couple years ago, I believe, Ashley, and it seems to have really settled in well with the drivers. I've only heard good things from all of them.
Yeah, it's a great race course. A lot of variation in the track, a lot of high-speed corners like we were just seeing in that drive around we did. Quite a bit of elevation, which is surprising being out here in the desert. There's a lot of what we call blind corners where you can't see the other side of the corner as you're coming up across it. So definitely makes it challenging. Have some good brake zones as well, like we saw in race 1 there. We saw a lot of good passes into turn 5, into turn 10. And actually we saw a lot of good passes in the high-speed stuff too. So it's a great racetrack and seems to put on a good show as well.
Yeah, in fact, was talking to Casey Dennis, who did a lot of those passes, and he said even he was a little bit surprised about some of the overtakes they managed here because they expected the same as us. But he basically just made do with what was before him and charged his way through. There's some proof that we've had some rain because it turned into snow up in the mountains and certainly turned it quite pretty up there for us. Thankfully, the good news is, while we only had one car DNF for our first race of the weekend, Eli Kogan, as far as I last heard, has got the car repaired and is ready to get back out on track here once we get them onto the circuit. So we're just waiting now for them to finish their pre-grid. They'll take off on their pace laps and head off. In the meantime, why don't we get to know a few of the drivers as well? We talked to a few of them before we got to the qualifying sessions earlier, before all the rain came down. Let's take a glance at a few chats that we had earlier this weekend. It is definitely a good opportunity to see him out at the front because he won the last race, did Mike Hawkey. So he definitely took advantage of some of the craziness that we witnessed and actually got to do a full lap over everybody else since he was the only car not to get lapped by our leaders as they battled just behind him. Before that, it was quite close for him to the finish. As you can see, we now get cars finally onto the circuit. So why don't we go through our starting grid for our second race of the weekend. James Lee, with his quick lap in that first race, is going to start up at the front next to Blake McDonald. That is going to be fascinating to see those two battle for the win potentially here at the top. Kevin Woods will be starting in third with Casey Dennis, another driver who was incredibly quick in the first race as well as pretty much every session, starting from fourth. Kyle Washington, who is fighting for the overall win as well as the Masters win, will start from fifth as Sam Parnagian will be starting P6. Then it's Josh Conley in the seventh position, followed by Jim Walsh, who had some bad luck at the beginning of last race, unfortunately. Luke French will start from ninth position. Laura Eli won the first race, but is going to have to try and come from 10th here today. That's going to be difficult. Dmitry Novikov is going to be starting 11th as Patrick Mulcahy will be 12th. Jay Barron starts 13th today with Reinhold Kron on the outside of that 7th row. John McInnes will begin from 15th as Glenn Kirkpatrick will start in 16th. And then as we progress on to the last of our drivers, Michael Zubek rounds out our 17-car field. That's just the 992s. Ashley has the Caymans.
In the Cayman GT4s, we have Richard Kinsey on pole with Michael Gawke in second position. Rod Wagner in third, and we have Eli Kogan in fourth. So remember, he had that incident in lap one in race one, so super happy to see him back out on track. We'll see how he does if he works his way back towards the front.
We watch from on board Kyle Washington here. He's been giving us a nice feed all weekend long. The drivers prepping, doing what they can out here. We heard a little bit of a tidbit from Laura last time, Ashley, about how they put scrub tires on. Now, that was on the podium, so everybody could hear that. Do you think there's a few that are going to kind of pick up on that and see if they could use that trick?
Oh, absolutely. As a driver, you're always trying to pick up on little cues here and there to see how to do better, how to perform better, especially, I mean, Laura had an amazing start there. So, yeah, as a driver, I would certainly be taking note of how she did that. And she was saying she actually started the race on scrubs, which was really smart. Because the track was so cold, it actually takes a little bit longer to get brand new sticker tires up to temp and to have their maximum grip on track versus she already had those scrubs. She put them on and she said she had her tires underneath her on lap 2 of the pace laps. So yeah, definitely a big benefit there. And she also mentioned that she had a little bit higher tire pressure as well, so like we were talking about this morning, getting that tire pressure up when it's that cold in the 40s is really hard. So for her to start off like that, that's what got her that lead right off the bat with that pass here in turn 10, which was pretty epic to watch.
It was fantastic on lap 1 of the race and jumping up to the lead. It is a little bit warmer now. It's about 53 degrees out for the metric folks. That's about 12.5 Celsius currently, so it's a little warmer, not a whole lot, but at least we've got a beautiful bright sun with us as they come down into turn 5, one of the most popular passing spots we expect to see, but if anything from the last race, we might get to see a few more other spots. Now, if you watch the left-hand side of your screen with the tower, and you want to know who is racing with each class, those gray/white boxes are for your Pro-Am class drivers in the 992s. Then the blue ones are in your Masters class in the 992, and the yellows are, of course, in the Cayman drivers, essentially racing in one class here this weekend. Coming up into some of our elevation changes we were talking about, Ashley. These onboards, I think, do it so much better justice. We have great camera angles, but really don't feel it until you're actually feet on the track.
Exactly. You can actually see in some of these corners that have that elevation, the cars in front disappear. So that's what we refer to as blind corners that you can't see the other side. Right now they're in turn 9, which is a really high-speed corner, heading down towards turn 10, which is a pretty big brake zone, but you're braking on an angle, which makes it really tricky. Dropping steep downhill here. There's quite a bit of banking in these corners as well, so there's a lot of grip through this section here. It's a lot of fun. This track looks like a lot of fun.
We got to keep an eye on the Cayman race as well, because Kinsey was the one that was keeping Galke honest that whole race, was really close behind him. It was only that battle that separated them right at the very end. Having that track position, I wonder if that's going to change the complexion of things.
Looks like pace car just went into pit lane, so they're getting too wide here, getting ready to start, coming down into turn 17.
Here they go. Last race of the weekend, second of the season. Going to be started off by Lee, who is looking to try and make up for his penalty last race, come back and see if he can take the win. He led for a few laps last time. How many is he going to lead this time as they hit the cones? And it is green flag out now for the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series, coming down into turn 1. A lot more side by side this time than what we saw in the first race. Looks like Lee is going to be able to carry them down into turn 2, leading McDonald and Woods.
Looks like Casey Dennis and Kyle Washington side by side there. We've got the Caymans here about to get that green flag as well.
There's the cones. That marks where they can start, and they're on their way coming down into turn 1. Looks like that is a good start from Kinsey. He's going to be ahead of Galke, but let's not forget about Kogan, who had a car failure pretty much 3 corners into the first lap. So he's back out trying to see if he can do something to get himself on the podium as he follows now closely behind that leading pair. You can see on the lower right, we also still have Lee ahead of Woods, who has snatched that top spot away from McDonald's early on.
Yeah, coming up through the S's and into turn 8, super high-speed section. Everyone's staying single file here, kind of feeling out their competitors and where they can make a nice clean pass. See Casey Dennis right on the bumper there of McDonald, looking for an opportunity here. Coming into the brake zone of turn 10. This is that spot where we saw Laura make that pass for the lead. Oh, we've got an incident here.
That's our leaders in the Caymans.
Oh, no.
That means, I think, yes, Kogan is now our leader. I don't know if they actually came together, but they both were stopped on the exit of turn 5, watching to see if there's any damage on the nose of that number 99, and I don't see any, so maybe it was just both of them kind of getting tangled with one another. Wow, quite a development. They are well far behind, and there's smoke coming off the 99 now as he came by the tower. He's pulling off the track. There you can see him now. Oh, that is a real shame.
Yeah, that's such a bummer to end the race on the first lap there. Nice for him, though, to pull off to a safe area, though, to make sure the track stays green. He's got a big donut on the side there. Definitely got hit at some point there in turn 5.
I'm trying to remember if that was there early in the weekend or not, because I thought there may have been some marks on it earlier on, so I don't know if that is just recent. Meanwhile, we stay green, thankfully, since Galke was kind enough to pull out of the way of everybody, and it looks like he's out of the firing line currently. Up at the front of our 992s, Lee still leads Woods, McDonald still in third. Dennis, who is also kind of on a redemption arc here, going to try and stick with them, although it looks like James is starting to pull just a bit of a gap at the front.
Yeah, the 992 is definitely a bit challenging to pass in because you don't really get a lot of draft in these cars on the straightaway, so you really have to make sure you're smart when making a pass for position.
You can see it's getting a little close now between Dennis and McDonald. Coming down into turn 9. No heroics there this time for him. They head towards us in turn 10. Don't see him trying to nose his way in there, although looked like a bit of a defense from Kyle Washington in behind him, who has been in a bit of a fight here. I think that's Conley, that is just trying to chase him down.
And Kyle finished second overall in race 1 today, currently running P5. It's definitely a bit of a mix-up right now compared to this morning.
Yeah, they're still trying to sort things out there. That was a big look to the inside from Dennis. couldn't quite sneak underneath McDonald coming through the penultimate turn, but they'll complete lap 2 now. Lee ahead of Woods, ahead of McDonald's, ahead of Dennis. Woods actually leading our Masters class. Washington second within that class. Blake McDonald also second in the Pro-Am.
Still a long race ahead, and like we were talking about earlier with tire pressures, if you did start with a higher pressure, then that could affect you later in the race. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out as the race goes on. You might see some competitors sort of hitting, staying back and keeping the tires underneath them, letting their competitors wear the tires out a little earlier and maybe making a pass later on in the race.
Ooh, big move up the inside though from Conley on Washington. He
Oh.
clobbers the curb. And here comes Parnagian. He almost got a 2-for-1, but he's at least going to sneak by Washington.
What an opportunity. He made the most out of that situation for sure.
So now he's sandwiched between the pair of them. Washington's probably going to be kicking himself on that one, although he did get mugged a little bit there as Conley now pushes himself up a position. That's going to put him in a 5th overall, and he stays in 4th since he's not in the same class as Kyle Washington. But now he needs to chase Casey Dennis because he's the one on the podium that he's trying to catch in the Pro-Am. A little bit of a look down the inside coming into turn 10 from the Super Fuel car, but can't quite get through.
Involving cars 229 and 269 is under review.
So it sounds like they're going to be reviewing a little bit of action coming through the final corner there. Didn't quite catch which 2 cars that was between, and Jim Walsh is going to be able to try and pass Kirkpatrick coming down into turn 10. In fact, he does so successfully. Again, drivers definitely hungry today.
Right. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of drivers when they're making the pass here in 10 using that apex curve to your advantage. There's quite a bit of space there in the blue paint. If you're making a pass up the inside to use that area.
269 at turn 18 has been reviewed.
It's race
Official
control.
car 229 drive-through penalty for incident responsibility. Car 229
So that would be Dimitri.
Indeed.
Sounds like he's going to have a drive-through penalty.
So we must have missed that. That was coming through the last corner onto the main straight. Sounds like there was maybe a bit of a coming together between them, unfortunately. Thankfully, we haven't really seen a whole lot of damage happen during this weekend. These are not teams with multi-million-dollar budgets usually, so they don't want to accrue any more costs than they need out there. Laura Eli, we're wondering how she was going to progress considering she won the first race. Right now, last time across the stripe, she was in 10th, and that is Patrick Mulcahy that is just in front of her. Another case of 2 cars in different classes racing right now. Her real concern is with Dimitri in front of her, but I guess he won't be a concern much longer since he's going to have that penalty.
Just a few corners back, we saw Sam Parnagian make a pass for 5th place in turn 5. So he's now leading that pack up there. Of the 3 cars, he's going to charge forward. He's got his eyes set on P4.
Nicely done. Remember, he was in that little group of cars earlier, so as he pushes his way forward, Conley now behind him. Can he play catch-up to get to Casey Dennis? Parnagian also in the Pro-Am class, so that is definitely a battle that he wants to fight up there.
We just saw Dimitri dive into pit lane there, serving his drive-through penalty.
This is still Mulcahy on the screen. That was a lot of curb there for Laura. Thankfully, she was able to gather it up and carries on. But Luke French behind her is becoming probably a bit of a nuisance here. He's looking like he might be able to make a move if he catches her napping at some point.
James Lee throwing some good laps down there. He's at 52.5 was his last lap. He's got about a 2.2 second gap on P2.
Which is still, again, James Woods, who is leading the Masters class. So even with that 2-second lead, checking to see he's got a bit more behind him, another half second down to Blake McDonald right now. So still sitting very pretty right now. French being chased by Reinald Kron, excuse me. So we've basically got a train of cars starting to form here. And this is kind of more what we expected compared to what we saw earlier this morning, is sort of this style of racing, Ashley, where it's everybody waiting for something to happen.
Right, yeah, if a yellow flag came out at any point, I think it would definitely mix some things up here, but everyone seems to be settling in nicely, although we've got some pretty close racing starting to form up towards the front between Kevin Woods and Blake McDonald. Blake's definitely peeking to the inside every once in a while, seeing where he can find an opportunity.
Still hasn't been able to get by Woods. He really wants to get up to James. He doesn't want to lose too much ground. There you can see the two of them now coming onto the main straight. Yeah, he is dangerously close.
Peeking
almost
to the outside there.
Yeah, and then behind them, Dennis looked like he went wide. Oh, he's going to let him through. Interesting. So Woods going to take what you talked about of the less risk in this situation. Yes, he's not going to be second overall, but he's still the leader in his class.
Yes, he is. The next position in the Masters class is all the way 7th place overall. So he has a little bit of space there. He's choosing to take care of his equipment, which I'm sure his crew is thankful for.
Well, and you know, the thing that always intrigues me about this as well is, in this case, these are drivers that race against each other all the time. And I'm sure, I mean, drivers always say they never forget. I'm pretty sure that favor will be returned down the line.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like Casey Dennis got by him as well.
Yeah, he just kind of let them all go and is going to shuffle backwards until he doesn't have to worry about any other drivers breathing down his neck and can really focus on where Kyle Washington is so that he can try to beat him to the win in the Masters class here today. Then we've got Wagner here with Kinsey closing up. Remember, Kinsey was involved in that opening incident and is chased down second place in class. Has a long ways to go to try and catch up to him up at the lead, but this is the first task on the list for him.
Got Eli Kogan solidly in the lead there in the Cayman.
Yeah, he is technically racing, I believe, in a different class from the other Caymans, but since he's the only one in that class of Caymans, we're kind of counting all four of them as a one single one right now. But the gap behind him, I believe, is that saying about 2 seconds I'm seeing, or is that 25 seconds? Am I reading that incorrectly? I'll double check on that here in a second.
Looks like a 25-second lead.
So that must be accurate then. That's a monster gap between them this early in the race. Still have 23 minutes left to go.
James Lee as well continuing to pull away a bit. He gained about another 1.5 seconds over P2. And now with a 3.4 second lead over P2. And then we got Casey Dennis right behind Blake McDonald. I bet that race will get interesting as the time goes on.
Yeah, now that Blake's been freed up, can he try and run down James and cut down on that 3.5 second gap? And then Dennis also, of course, is free from it. But then Dennis is his teammate, let's not forget. That's both RWE cars who had a really tough first race of the weekend. Honestly, tough qualifying, tough everything for these guys. And they've shown that they're quite fast. So I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of working together. Casey could be a distraction for McDonald.
See James coming by some lap traffic there. We've got the Cayman class. This will definitely make things interesting behind him. We've got a spin behind us here in turn 5. Looks like
That's Walsh.
Jim Walsh.
He's going to get it going. There he takes off. So thankfully just small dramas, but again, more frustration for him during this entire race, no doubt. So we switch back to, I think we were looking at French there for a brief moment. He's been trying to chase some of those drivers ahead, catch up to Eli. Actually, it might have been a different car. There is Laura right now, actually, in the 209, and French as well.
Laura Eli is running third in the Masters class right now, doing a great job holding her own there, trying to run down Mulcahy within sight there in turn 1.
And it's already looking like, I mean, we got a taste of a good battle between her and Kyle Washington. Now, they're not together on track right now, but if Kyle finishes where he is and Laura finishes where she does, that's a double podium this weekend for each of them. Really just a fantastic way to kick things off. They could be our kind of our two protagonists for the championship if this is anything to go by as we watch Parnagian with Conley. Thankfully, race control's been pretty quiet since we had that drive-through for the 229. They took care of that and then a couple spins, but otherwise, everybody's been plugging away out there. We're about a third of the way through the race at this stage. As we continue to watch Carnegian being chased by Conley. Well, Parnagian, excuse me. This is for fourth, just outside the podium in the Pro-Am class between these two.
We were just notified that the reason Dimitri had to have that drive-through earlier is because he hit number 269, which would be Jim Walsh. Oh, poor Jim.
Oh, that's where he got hit last time.
Right, in turn 18 on the front straightaway. So, yeah, a tough break there for Jim, for sure.
It's not going to be a place of happy memories for Walsh, unfortunately. Okay, he flashes past the line once again. Still holding on to that 8th overall position. But I believe he's 6th in class right now in that Pro-Am. He's sandwiched between Washington and Eli, both within the Masters class. So he's sitting in a little bit of a safe bubble, not worried about anybody within his class challenging him. Kirkpatrick, though, now has a charging Novikov who is recovering from the penalty. Not easy to try and pass through the last part of this twisty little section. He's just going to have to sit and wait for the right time.
Yeah, it's going to be tough through here to make a pass work. Maybe in this break zone here, but you'd really have to risk it. Looks like he's going to stay behind until he finds a safe spot to do it.
Wonder if he's going to try and set him up for the front straight here, just get a good run off the corner. Oh, he had a good run, but it almost looked like Kirkpatrick just kind of balked him at the apex. Ooh, he's getting mighty close, coming through turn 1 as well as they fly down into 2. Wonder if Glenn is going to fight this one hard now that he's got someone to battle against here at the back of the pack, or is he going to allow him through after a while? And there's no doubt that Dimitri is going to be just a little bit frustrated as well.
He's definitely thinking about it. Now we're starting to come up to that break zone in turn 5. This is generally a good spot to make a pass, although he's not quite close enough. He'd really have to stuff it in there. It looks like he's still going to stay behind and find a better place to do it.
He is glued to that rear bumper. Now he's managed to get to the inside, and I think Glenn waved him through.
I was about to say that is super risky there in turn 6, but looked good and clean.
Yeah, that looked like a little bit of an ease off. Once Glenn saw that he had his nose in, he wasn't going to fight that one. Lets him do his own thing. Also, we haven't talked about the Caymans in a while. If you haven't been watching that left-hand side of your screen, it is still Kogan leading the race. Quite a turnaround in that case. And did we just see...
Yeah, Richard just went into pit lane.
Yeah. Now, we don't have any indication of penalties. I don't see anything on timing and scoring or coming from race control personally.
Wonder if he has a car issue.
It might be. Well, it has been a rough one for the Caymans. The only class that has seen any sort of retirement in both races so far.
Yeah, Richard was a part of that incident early on in lap 1 in turn 5, so I'm wondering if there was some damage that maybe reared its head later on in the race.
That's a good point. He's coming down to a stall. There's no scheduled pit stops in this series. They're not in any sort of hurry, so they don't seem to think that it's something they can fix.
Oh, I see some smoke up front there.
And I also see some telltale signs of where he made the contact on that left front. So, you know what? I wonder if that was rubbing a little bit on his tire.
Yeah, possibly.
That is a real shame that they have had to park that car. He was doing a good job keeping up with the next car ahead in his class, and unfortunately could not seem to have been able to make that pass. The 32, though, sometimes in racing, to finish first you must finish. And while he's not leading the race, I believe Rod Wagner is looking at a potential second place.
It actually looks like Blake has reeled in James a tiny bit there. He's gained about 2 seconds on James in P2 there. Casey Dennis close behind, about 2 seconds behind Blake.
That's a good point. They've managed to cut that down a fair bit. Wonder if James is managing as well.
Yeah, like I'm saying earlier, I'm sure it'd be interesting to see where people are strategy-wise with tire pressures. And that generally starts to show up as the race progresses. Also, keeping your tires underneath you. So the more you're sliding around and the harder you are on the tires in the beginning, the more they're going to wear later on. So you have to be really smart from a driver's perspective, too, to make sure you're thinking long-term, thinking about the end of the race.
Well, and that's got to be tough in Lee's position if his team is letting him know the gap or if he can see in his mirror. I mean, what can you do in that situation where you know you have to pace, but then you're seeing someone who's just chopping away?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, you have a lot of controls in the car that you can start to play with. So your traction control, your ABS, your brake bias, you know, playing with those different tools that you have in the car to try to get the car balanced to where you want it to be. And then still trying things with the line as well. Like we were talking about earlier too, the track is starting to build rubber. So the line might be starting to change in terms of where the grip is. So you have to really stay on your toes, stay adaptable, and don't look in your mirrors. You have to look forward and focus on your own race.
I'm very bad at that if I'm on. So I keep looking in the mirrors. This looks a lot closer than 1.7 seconds.
Yeah.
We'll find out as they flash across the timing line. It is down to 0.3 of a second. He was more than a second faster last lap by. How hard is James going to try and fight this? He goes defensive.
Oh yeah, this might put him on the inside for turn 3 though. This was a smart move. If he can make it work through turn 3, he does. He makes it work. Heading down into 4, although James is not giving up easy. He's hanging in there to see if he can still take that position back.
Tries to cut back on him, but by the time they reach 4, that off-camber corner does not offer him anything. A little too far away to try and dive down to the inside of turn 5, so I'd say that's finally job done. No, not what James thinks. He thinks there's plenty of room, and he's going to get the lead back.
Oh my gosh, Casey Dennis is loving this because this allowed him to catch right back up. So now we've got a race of 3 here.
I want to give a lot of credit to Blake McDonald. I would not have been expecting that move. He gave him space. I don't think he's happy about it, but at least they avoided a wreck.
Exactly, and there's still a lot of time left, so in Blake's eyes, he's probably just trying to put the pressure on James to see if he can make a mistake. Oh my goodness, really stuffing it in there in turn 9. Fast corner to do that. Side by side into the brake zone of 10.
Coming down into the right-hander, it plunges. They're going to stay side by side. We haven't seen this happen a lot. Almost shoved off the course a little. Blake ran out of room. Now the teammate's going to be able to get through. Casey Dennis suddenly alongside, and this is a difficult portion. He backs out of it. This is going to give James a little bit of breathing space, at least for a while, but things have ramped up.
Oh man, these top 3 drivers are not going to give up any inch, that's for sure. Putting each other in the dirt a little bit there. That got really exciting. And we still have 12 minutes to go. They're racing like it's the last lap.
Oh, goodness. So hope somebody's in the ear of Blake, letting him know you have the pace. Just make smart moves here. And, in fact, he's going to look for it once again. Now he goes to the outside, just like we saw last time. That worked out. And he managed to take the lead away with this move. Can he repeat it, or is James learned and able to try and retake it? He cuts back. That's exactly what happened last time. And now they are going to be single file by the time they hit turn 4.
Yeah, all this battling is actually allowing the group of Kevin Woods to start to reel in the front 3 as well. If they keep battling this hard, we might have a group of 6. Casey Dennis looking up the inside of his teammate.
They're going to go side by side out of turn 5, kicking up a little dirt on the outside there for James Lee. They'll go back to single file now. They have to remember the ultimate goal is to get someone on the team on the top step. They can't allow Blake McDonald to run away at this stage. You mentioned Woods catching up. I also glanced over there, and it looks like Parnagian went by him. That wasn't for class position, though. That's Parnagian trying to catch up to Casey Dennis here, although Kevin Woods needs to watch out for Kyle Washington behind them.
See James driving a very defensive line there, going up the inside of almost every corner.
Oh, he cuts him back, though. He tries to turn
my
down. They're going to make contacts. Oh, that is,
goodness.
and he has to try and leap over the edge of the track. Somehow the car's still going. Hopefully it is not too damaged. That was Casey Dennis going for a wild ride. And they always say the number one rule is don't hit your teammates. And now look at this. I said that it was Parnagian that's trying to catch up to Dennis. There he is.
Yeah, I bet Sam's pretty happy right now. Now he has a potential to jump up into the top 3 with these guys battling here.
They're going to come down into turn 1. And again, we don't know what kind of damage is on the car, the 274, when they made that contact. Is he going to suffer from that as Parnagian's going to try and get up the inside? Dennis will hold the outside, but that sets him up well for turn 3 now. They stay line astern. Look at this. Woods is also behind them, and I think, is that Washington that's joined them?
Looks like Casey making a move there in turn 4, taking over the second position, although Blake has now a comfortable 5-second lead with all this battling going on. Oh, and there's more contact between teammates.
Oh, wow.
That'll be an interesting conversation when they get back to the trailer, I would imagine.
Yes. Don't think that's endearing them to one another at this stage. Or maybe they're having fun, who knows, but it looks like it's getting rough. I wonder, because I think, did he let him? Yeah, that's Dennis ahead now. I wonder if he was given a call from his team to let him through, because maybe they think Casey is a little quicker right now. In the meantime, Parnagian is on the back of Lee, looking for a move down into turn 10. Is he going to be able to avoid contact like we saw before? They're going to be side by side once more. Plunging down into the right-hander. He'll back out of it.
And Josh Conley as well, getting pretty racy there with Kevin Woods, made the position there. It looks like James just maybe wore his tires out pretty early there, trying to take that lead and run away with it. Now he's paying the price at the end of the race, trying to keep his car underneath him.
Yeah, he's going to go from second last time by to third, I think, this time through, but in danger of losing even a podium finish. As here comes Parnagian. Sam trying to size him up. He'll look to the inside, down into turn 1. He's given the space into the corner, and James Lee now falls off the Pro-Am podium.
Yeah, great drive here by Sam Parnagian, really making the most out of this situation. It looks like Josh Conley as well.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. James does not give it up easy though, that's for sure. He's racing him hard.
Conley did a great job getting involved in all of this. He's going to have the inside into the off-camber turn 4 through Badgers and on to turn 5. It's a drag race now, coming down into the braking zone. Around the outside, James Lee, could he cut back underneath? He tries to do just that. Conley goes a little bit wide. Better exit for the 255. He holds on to the spot.
With all this battling, Blake has now gained a 9-second lead over P2. Casey Dennis and Sam Parnagian are pretty close with each other here. Actually, looks like Sam's starting to reel Casey in for P2. And then this battle for third is definitely a close one.
Wonder if Casey Dennis has enough to make a race of it for Blake McDonald, too.
Oh, Sam's looking here into turn 10 to make a move. Casey
Great.
not letting him by.
No, he's going to hold on to it for now.
And James as well, fighting for P4.
Conley is going to let him have it for now. I think I think they're quickly learning. You talked about kind of understanding your competitors and getting a feel for how they race. And everybody's getting a quick lesson on James Lee that he is a fierce fighter and will defend and fight back, too, if he has lost the spot. James Woods not James Woods, Kevin Woods is just watching from behind saying, guys, please just kind of keep this clean enough that you don't wipe me out in this too.
Exactly. Sam Parnagian is only 3/10 behind Casey Dennis for that third place. Oh, we got Josh Conley looking to the inside of James again. Kevin also looking to the inside, trying to make the most of that opportunity.
Oh, he's deep.
Oh, no.
He's off the circuit.
Off the track.
And James gets it right back.
And Kevin happens to make 2 positions with all of that, jumping up into 4th place overall.
Now, Kevin is our leader in the Masters right now. So another reason why he really does not want to get involved in that race. Probably why he is passing them at this stage.
Right, because Kyle Washington is right up there with them. So he's also keeping an eye on his own class, making sure he's staying in the lead comfortably.
You know, the other reason, I just realized that's Washington and Eli.
Right. Yeah, they're battling out as well.
Well, if they catch up to Kevin Woods, he wants that buffer now of those Pro-Am drivers between himself and the rest of the podium. So, yeah, he was content for a while, but he was losing enough time that he said, enough messing around, let's try and stretch this out.
Here's our battle for second place. Casey Dennis and Sam Parnagian catching lap traffic into this high-speed section.
Off screen, I can tell you that fight is still going on a little farther. In fact, there was some car contact just a moment ago with James Lee, and now I think that was Mulcahy that just came together through turns 10 and 11. In fact, there they are right now.
Yeah, James was up all over that curb, 2 wheels up in the air, trying to maintain that position.
Oh, and Connolly's giving it right back to him. Tries to get inside, down through the final turn. That compromised him on the exit. He falls backwards. Kyle Washington, who has got a threat from Eli just behind. Laura is making him know that if you don't make this pass soon, I'm going to make it for you.
Yeah, she's looking pretty racy there, popping her nose out in the entry to some of these corners, trying to get Kyle to trip up. You can see her looking to the inside there of turn 3.
This is such an interesting dynamic between these classes because, again, this is all the same spec car. They're just racing in different class categories. So they've all got their own fights to fight. And someone pulling off to the side. I think that's one of our Caymans just getting out of the way.
Yeah, Laura, Eli, and Kyle Washington are battling for second place in their class. Still got this battle here for second place overall between Casey and Sam. Super close together here.
Parnagian has definitely got a fast car here at the end of this race. And Casey Dennis just wants to try and hold on to what he can. Ooh, that was a bit of a late move in defense coming down there into turn 10 as we jump back to Lee once more. Washington's had enough of this. He's going to try and overtake Conley, and it looks like he's going to be able to get through by turn 10. Yes, he does. Laura Eli also going to be able to overtake. Conley now backs up behind them, lets them go. What a frantic end of this race. We're down to less than 3 minutes left. I didn't realize how much time had gone by. It has been a lot of fun out there, that is for sure.
Absolutely. Seeing how everyone's car is progressing as time is going on.
Still, we got a battle to decide second and third overall. Washington still versus Eli. Oh, and Laura going to send it. Gets to the inside of turn 1.
We'll see what happens here with James in front of them.
Again, James is not in their class.
Oh, Laura makes the move for second place. Let's see if she can hang on to it here.
Going to fight back down the inside maybe. That was a lot of curb for Washington. He slips up a little bit. Just trying to make out who that was behind them. That might be French.
Yeah, French is actually making a move there. Looks like he actually got him on the outside of turn 4, so that helps Eli. Although she's got to figure out how to get by James here. And as we know, James races hard. Oh, into the inside. Makes it work. I think there was a little bit of contact there even. Nice pass by Eli.
This was a lot rougher racing than I expected from this group, but I love the elbows out.
Right.
And they're giving them room. We haven't had anybody wreck out from it yet, knock on wood.
It's like respectful boxing match.
Yeah, exactly. I like that description.
Oh, Sam Carnegie made the pass on Casey Dennis. He is now in second place overall. Although Dennis is not giving that up, he is right on the tail of Sam.
He's going to make him work for it. This is back to French versus Eli. They're outside of class with one another. Washington is who she's trying to escape here. She allows him through. Washington, though, I think was almost going side by side with Lee, but can't quite get past. He's running out of time, though. I think I need to figure out where in the world Blake McDonald went now, because we should be getting the white flag next time by.
Yeah, he's got a 14-second lead on P2 there. So he's driving comfortably, although you don't want to relax just yet. You still want to make sure you're driving clean and not making any mistakes.
Blake McDonald won in class last time, but he didn't win overall. So Blake is going to get back-to-back victories here, but this time of the entire field, if he can just hold on to it. That's coming down through turns 3 and into 4. So Blake McDonald is, excuse me, no, that's Mulcahy that we've got on screen.
Starter, white flag.
Currently
Timeline,
5th overall,
currently
4th in
4th
class.
White flag.
In fact, white flag is being instructed to go out now that the clock has come down to 0. There is second in class, the 257.
Yeah, he's pulled a bit of a gap there on Casey. I'm wondering if Casey also might have lost the tires underneath him there. Got the leader with the huge lead, Blake McDonald here, coming down through turn 10.
So now he should get the white flag, I believe, because I think they called that well after he had crossed the line. Coming up into the final corners. This is why I was trying to figure out where in the world he was, because obviously it's dependent on when he crosses the line. And then it is always 35 minutes plus 1 lap in this series.
And then back down to the Caymans, we still have Eli Kogan with a huge lead as well. Rod Wagner running second, and then Richard Kinsey did not make his way back out on track. So hopefully he doesn't have too many major car issues that can get fixed for the next race weekend.
Exactly. Going to Utah Motorsports Park next up for them. This is the last lap for the 208. We saw the white flag as he went by. Just has to make his way around one more time to get back-to-back victories to kick off the USA West Series and the 992 Pro-Ams. Meanwhile, this fight is not over in the middle of the pack as well.
Yeah, with all this battling that Kyle Washington is in, Laura Eli has managed to pull a gap on Kyle there, so she's got a comfortable second place in class right now.
Checkered flag.
So sounds like checkered flag going to be coming out for our winner here in just a moment. This is coming through the infield section. Also, Kevin Woods, remember I talked about him wanting to get away from that fight for second, which clearly heated up between Eli and Washington. Well, he stretched it out dramatically. It's many, many seconds up the road. So he made the right choice in being done letting those two fight in front of him. Down into turn 10 for the last time this weekend. The 208 just has a handful of corners left to wrap this one up. He had to charge back to the front. He had to fight a little bit there, had to get his elbows out. But once he managed to get the lead, we didn't see Blake McDonald blink. He comes to the final 3 turns, brakes hard for the last chicane, tucks it in nicely to the apex onto the main straight. And Blake McDonald is going to win both of our Pro-Am races here at Pahrump, Nevada.
A great drive by Blake McDonald. Super smooth, consistent, and confident in his car. He's definitely going to have a strong season ahead. Pretty tight battle in the back there for 3rd place overall between Dennis and Woods at the end there. I was wondering if Woods was going to try to make a move or not.
And Woods does become our winner for race number 2 at Spring Mountain Motorsports Park. Meanwhile, it looks like Luke French is going to be with a top 5 in the second race. Laura Eli with a double podium, managing to fend off Kyle Washington, who also gets a double podium in this race. Where is Eli Kogan, though? There he is. In fact, is he close to lapping Wagner? I think that he is lapping Wagner here. There he is in the red car. That's Eli. Well,
Oh, yeah,
going
look at
from last in class to now winning his class, and by almost an entire lap over the next car. Those are the roller coaster of emotions that you can get in motorsports. And they'll just complete these final few sequences as the Cayman class is going to be won by the number 50 of Eli Kogan.
Yeah, great job by him, especially after race 1, having that incident right off the bat. Way to come back with it.
Fixed the car and did not give up. Love to see it. While the racing is done for this weekend, we have our podium ceremonies coming up shortly. Stick around after these messages.
Masters is car 32, 28, and 99. That's 32, 28, and 99. And your winner in Cayman is the 50.
All right, it's time for our podium ceremonies here for race number 2 at Charleston Peak. And we're starting off, of course, with our Cayman Masters. Coming in third in the number 99, it's Michael Galkey. In the number 28, finishing P2, Richard Kenzie. And our winner today in the Cayman Masters in the number 32, it's Rod Wagner. Rod, here you go. Oh, here, Rod. Excellent drive out there. Obviously, you had a little bit of help out there today, but what's the emotions when you see the leaders fall by the wayside in front of you?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I just try and stay focused and drive my line and not make mistakes, and hopefully I can keep my tires on the track.
I mean, how was the traffic in general out there this weekend? Because it looked like the two classes worked well together.
I think they did. Obviously, the Cups are much faster, but we had plenty of heads up when they're coming on us, and I can see them clearly in the mirror, and they come on you fast. And I just try and hold a consistent line, and I know that they're good enough to get around me.
Well, a second and a first. Can't ask for much more to start the season. Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
There's our podium winners. Showing off the hardware. Let's hold up our trophies. Get some photos. And now, of course, the traditional spraying champagne. That's our podium for the Cayman Masters. And of course, for our Cayman Pro-Am, we had one competitor, but impressively, Eli Kogan comes home our winner in the number 50 today. We'll have a chat here, cool. Eli. You go from the car not even making it through 4 corners in the first race to coming home with a victory in this one. How does that feel?
Feels good. Happy with my team and proud of them and thankful that they got the car back together in time. It was a hustle. So thank you guys.
It looked like you guys were pushing hard to get it back. Did you guys find out what went wrong with it?
Radiator, tie rod, a couple other things. We got a quick eye alignment on it and got it as straight as possible and got it to grid. So
good enough. Good enough for government work, I suppose.
Exactly.
Well, congratulations and enjoy the win, sir.
Thank you.
Our winner in the Cayman Pro-Am, showing off his hardware. We gotta spray the champagne. Come on, Eli. Waste some of it. Then you can drink the rest. Now it's time for the 992 Masters. Finishing third in the number 232, Kyle Washington. Then in the number 209, with another great battle that they repeated after the first race, Laura Eli finishing second. And our winner running away with it today in the number 294, it's Kevin Woods.
Way too good.
Kevin, whoa, come on back here, Kevin. Now, you found yourself with quite a battle happening around you. What's going through your mind when you see them tussling, knowing you've got your own race to run?
Well, part of me wanted to win the whole thing if I could, but James took off pretty quick, and I was trying to keep up, but he was really fast. So at that point, I just settled in and just tried to stay clean. And if someone came up and they were a different class, I just let them by. But yeah, eventually we started fighting, and I just wanted to not have any contact.
I think that's understandable. You came away with a very strong win on this one. You take that off to Utah Motorsports Park. Can you repeat the good performance?
I hope so. I like Utah, and I've won there a few times before. So yeah, good track. Looking forward to it.
All right, we're looking forward to it as well. Congratulations, sir. That's our winner and our podium for the 992 Masters. Let's show off those trophies. And of course, why don't we spray some champagne? Woo! And of course, we can't forget our hard charger as well. In the number 254 this time for the Apexon Award, it's Patrick Mulcahy. Patrick, it always feels good to be able to pass a lot of cars, but I'm sure it felt intimidating coming into it.
Oh, 100%. This is my first time racing ever. Just started driving Cup cars in December last year, so I had a lot of making up to do after race one, after the restart. So I had a lot of controlled aggression I had to lay out there in race two. So.
I mean, considering you earned this one, I'd say you were successful in that. Well, congratulations and enjoy the prize, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And finally, we have the 992 Pro-Am. Starting in third place, in the number 274, it's Casey Dennis. Then, in second today, in the 257, finishing P2, Sam Parnagian. And back-to-back wins in the Pro-Am class. Driver of the number 208, Blake McDonald. Blake, you missed one box to tick on the last race because you won this class, but you didn't win the overall. Does this kind of make up for that?
Yeah, absolutely. After the bad quality results that we had, it feels really good to put it together like this. And that's what I wanted to do in the first race, so I'm glad I got it done then.
Well, you had to do it with a couple teammates that were not only fighting you, but each other. What was going through your head as you tried each of them?
We've been working so well together. I didn't question whether Kevin was going to do anything, and thankfully he let me by so I could get on with my fight. And we're really close in that team, and so I didn't have any second doubts.
Well, an excellent run race, an excellent weekend. Enjoy your prize, sir.
I just want to say a massive thank you to BR Racing. They're taking this just as serious as a factory GT3 team, and they've given me a Cup car at its absolute best, and I can't thank them enough. Thank you, guys.
Wonderful words. Oh, you want to celebrate on the podium? There we go. All right, let's show off our trophies. And then finally, for the last time this weekend, let's spray the champagne! We like to see them having fun with this. All right, that's going to conclude our racing. We'll be back for round 2 here for the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West by Yokohama. Thank you so much for tuning in on behalf of myself, Joe Peak, and Ashley Freiberg. Race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.